How welcome to my review of Kong Skull Island, directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts, an action-adventure film centered on a team of scientists accompanied by military personnel who travel to an uncharted island to document and study its geography and the species that reside there. However, what they discover is an array of vicious creatures along with a colossal ape who's hell-bent on protecting his home of what is known as Skull Island. So I've never seen the original King Kong, I've never really had an interest in seeing it. However, I'm quite a fan of Peter Jackson's version that came out in 2005, a film I actually did do a review for back in 2014. It is among my older videos, so therefore the quality may not be at its finest. However, if you do want to know more about my thoughts on the film, then by all means do check it out. As far as my opinion of how it stands today, it's pretty much the same. I still think it's an outstanding film, and I think it's actually Peter Jackson's last great film. As for this particular iteration that is supposed to lead up to Kong facing off Godzilla, I must say that I think this is a better film in comparison to Godzilla by a significant margin. As much as I admire Gareth Edwards' approach and the way he was able to set up the tone for certain scenes in 2013's Godzilla, Roberts comes with a more stylistic approach, taking many visual cues from what is arguably one of the greatest war films of all time, and that is Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now. Jordan Roberts has come out and stated that Apocalypse Now is one of his favorite films and that it did indeed play a role in the crafting of this film, and you can definitely tell it in its cinematography. You have the vibrant, almost psychedelic imagery that the flares create in the film, just like in Apocalypse Now. You also have the soundtrack, which I have to say is utilized quite well, something that Suicide Squad did not do. And then of course there's also the setting itself, Skull Island, which is very reminiscent of Vietnam. So far, this is definitely the best looking movie that I've seen this year, and when the creatures are introduced to the humans, it does make for some pretty thrilling interactions or fights. One of the standouts, and you do see it in one of the trailers, is the scene with the skull crawlers, and that whole scene I thought had a great buildup of suspense and had a fantastic execution. And if you're somebody going into this film wanting a monster flick or a creature feature, then you're definitely going to get what you want. In fact, I would even say this makes for a better Jurassic Park sequel than just that bad joke we got in 2015 by Colin Trevorrow. That movie was some bullshit. However, if you're going into Kong wanting to see something that offers deep, like some of Kong's previous incarnations, or wanting to see a character piece, then you are going to leave a bit empty-handed, unfortunately. Unlike a lot of movies nowadays that suffer from TMSGO, this movie suffers from WTMFC. Way too many fucking characters. There's a shit ton of characters in this movie, but I'm only going to focus on the ones that I need to mention. As much as I like Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson, especially for her performance in Room, they're just here to look pretty, as if they're getting ready to do a GQ photo shoot. They are completely wasted in this movie, and they really don't even offer anything to the expedition outside of some practical purposes that make sense at a first glance. Hiddleston's character is an expert in geography and is a skilled tracker. However, they've already enlisted these trained soldiers to the gig, so I would imagine that they might know something about tracking shit. And Brie Larson, well, she's just there to take pictures. And when I say that they are completely wasted, I mean they're really not given much to do in this film outside of delivering bits of exposition, outside of shooting, outside of stabbing, outside of running from things. The characterization for these characters is pretty freaking flat. Then you have this character, and hell, I don't remember why she was even there. There's also a great actor such as Toby Kebbell, and they attempt to use him to tug on the heartstrings, but it ultimately falls flat at doing so, given that he's given nothing to actually work with. Though that's not to say that Kong is just completely without heart. John C. Reilly actually does offer something of that sort, particularly at the very end of the film, and he also livens up the film with some tasteful amounts of camp. But if you really want to know who the star of the film is, at least in terms of actors, because I think this is more of a director's film than it is anything else, it would easily be Samuel L. Jackson. Granted, he's really not doing anything that we haven't seen him do already before with the intense stare downs and aggressive tendencies, but he does bring heaps upon heaps of charisma, and I just found it to be captivating throughout the entire film. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite Samuel L. Jackson performances that I've seen in quite some time. Not only that, but he does take a role that could have easily been bland if it were played by somebody else and actually do something with it. Moreover, as for the big man, the man of the hour, Kong, I thought he was just meh. Even though the CGI is significantly better here than what we got in Peter Jackson's version, I found Kong in Peter Jackson's to be far more believable than what we get here. And the reason why I say that Peter Jackson's version is more believable is because in his version, we get a character with a well-rounded personality with a full spectrum of emotions courtesy of Jackson himself and Andy Serkis. The CGI may not be as good, but the depth definitely makes up for it, making Kong in Peter Jackson's version way more easy to buy. As for Kong in this particular film, he's just here to look menacing and destroy shit. And even though by the end of the film I did get a little bored with the big fight between Kong and this other creature that I won't name, I think a lot of the spectacle that's with Kong when he actually is going up against the humans is pretty exciting. Actually, pretty much any time where the humans were fighting shit is when the movie was pretty much at its best, if you couldn't already tell from what I've been saying. There are some excellent deaths, there are some creepy ass looking creatures, though there's nothing that quite beats those creepy as fuck worm things in Peter Jackson's version. That shit is just damn terrifying. Overall, Kong is a visual feast of a film. It's passionately directed in terms of style, and I would love to see what Jordan Vogt-Roberts could do with a better script. I know it seems like I don't like this film given all the problems that I have with it, but that's actually kind of far from it. I like this film quite a bit for what it is. Putting complex writing aside because its ultimate focus is to be a creature feature, this movie succeeds in its aspirations. If you're looking for a well-made spectacle, a movie that is stylistically focused, then you're probably going to enjoy this film. So I'm going to give Kong Skull Island a 3.5 out of 5. If you're somebody who has seen this film, then do let me know your thoughts on it. Did you like it more than the original? Did you like Peter Jackson's version more? Do let me know. As always, I'm Colin Kirkland, and thank you so much for watching.